I'm Audrey Foster with Nebraska Extension in Custer County, and I'm their summer employee. In today's workshop, we're going to be doing a few different projects that can incorporate your dog because we don't want them feeling left out of all our June Jamboree videos. So we're going to be making a couple different types of treats, a peanut butter treat and an apple cinnamon one, and we're also going to be making a dog toy. If you're looking for other recipes or additional dog toys, I've included some links in the supply list below with some great ideas. I've gone ahead and gathered all the ingredients we need for this type of dog treat. I have 2 cups of flour, a half a cup of peanut butter, 2 eggs, and a 1/4 cup of water. I've also gone ahead and have preheated my oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. My first step is going to be to combine my flour, peanut butter, and eggs into my mixing bowl. The recipe calls for creamy peanut butter, but if you're really set on using crunchy, you just may need to use more water so that then you get a pliable dough. Also, when you're picking out your peanut butter, make sure that it does not contain xylitol as a sugar. This can be harmful to your dog. Okay. Then we're just going to go ahead and mix up these 3 ingredients. At this point, my mixture looks pretty crumbly, so it's time to go ahead and add the water. For the water, I'm going to add it in tablespoonish increments at a time. So I'm not going to put it all in at once, but just a little bit. And then I'll go ahead and mix it. At this point, I've gone ahead and added in all my water, and as you can see, it's a very workable dough. I'm going to go ahead and dump it out, roll it out, and then cut out shapes with a cookie cutter. I've gone ahead and rolled this out so that it's about 1/4 inch thick. Then I'm going to take my star-shaped cookie cutter. You can use whatever shape of cookie cutter you want. This is just one I had on hand. I think it'd be really cool to use bone-shaped ones, but I didn't have that on hand. And I'm just going to cut out as many as possible. And then I'm going to place my cookies onto a cookie sheet. My cookies are all done and ready to go, so I can stick them in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And the instructions said to do it for about 15 minutes. But based on the small size of my cookies, I'm going to check on them after every 5 minutes, just to make sure that they're not getting too done. They'll be done when they feel hard and when they're starting to turn brown on the bottoms. I ended up leaving my dog treats in the oven for about 15 to 17 minutes. And they are, let's see, this tray was on the top rack and this tray was on the bottom. And the ones that were on the bottom are starting to turn brown on the backside. And it may be helpful to switch your 2 racks around about halfway through your time. At this point, I'm just gonna go ahead and let them cool. You want a treat? When your dog treats have all cooled, you can go ahead and put them in Ziploc bags. I would make sure and label your Ziploc bags just so that your whole family and you know in the future that they're dog treats. Also, they store really well in a freezer-proof Ziploc bag if you need that to be an option. When I label my bags, I'm going to put dog treats, the ingredients, and then I'm also going to put the date on it so that I know what it is. I've gone ahead and labeled this bag with the title, the date, and all the ingredients. The ingredients are handy to have on there, especially if you're wanting to use these for gifts or for presents for different dogs, just because then in case the dog has an allergy, the owner will know that that ingredient is in there before you accidentally give it to the dog. For the apple cinnamon dog treats, I've gone ahead and have preheated my oven to 350 degrees. And I've gone ahead and collected my ingredients. 1 large egg, a half cup of applesauce, cinnamon applesauce. If you don't have cinnamon applesauce, you can always take regular applesauce and put a dash of cinnamon in. It just gives it a little bit of extra flavor for the dog. And then I have 1 cup of oatmeal that are just like dried oats. For my first step, I'm gonna dump my oatmeal into my bowl. And then I'm gonna add my 1/2 cup of applesauce. And then I'm gonna mix this well. Now that everything is mixed together well, I'm gonna go ahead and add my 1 large egg, and then I'm gonna mix it again. This type of cookie is gonna have a little bit wetter of a dough, and so we're gonna use a little bit different method for this. Instead of using cookie cutters, we're gonna use a spoon, and we're gonna drop spoonfuls onto a cookie sheet that we've lined with parchment paper. I'm gonna go ahead and take my spoon, and I'm just gonna drop spoonfuls onto my paper. These dog treats make me think of my little sister because she is obsessed with apples and oatmeal and likes eggs quite a bit too. So part of me wonders if she'd eat these. But then I think about it and think, yeah, she would. Now I'm gonna place them in the oven for about 22 minutes. I went ahead and pulled these out of the oven after 22 minutes. Once they're cool, you can go ahead and feed them to your dog. Oh, Lucy. For this dog toy, you're gonna need an old t-shirt. It can be any size. An old ball, preferably a tennis ball, a ruler, a marking pencil, and some sewing shears, or just scissors that work well with fabric. And our first step is gonna be to mark out our cutting lines on our t-shirt. First, we wanna draw out 2 sections that are 5 to 6 inches. And then we'll draw 1 section that is close to 2 inches. Let's see, I gotta find the 6-inch mark on my ruler, and then I'm just gonna make a series of lines. After I have each of my lines drawn, you can faintly see them there, I'm gonna go ahead and cut across each of these lines and make essentially 3 tubes out of my t-shirt. Next, I'm gonna cut across one end of each of my sections in order to make long strips. Now I'm gonna lay out my 2 strips in the shape of an X. There's 1 and 2. Oh, I'm gonna make sure that my seams are facing up. And 2. And then I'm gonna place my ball or tennis ball in the center. Next up, I'm gonna wrap up the ball by pulling the 4 strands to the bottom of the ball, like so. And then I'm gonna tie it off with my long and skinny strip of fabric. And there we go. We have our ball at one end, and then we have our 4 skinny strands. Next up, I'm gonna cut off part of those long ends that I just tied and secured those ends with. And there we go. Next up, I'm gonna separate 1 of my 4 strands from the rest, and I'm gonna cut this into 3 sections so that I can braid it. And you can either measure them out, or else you can do like me, and I'm just eyeballing it. Once this section is cut, I can go ahead and braid it. When we get so that we have about 1 inch of ties left, we're gonna go ahead and take one of our long skinny strips again. And we're just gonna take it and secure another knot. And I'm gonna cut this in half so that then I have the other half to use for a different tie. And then you can go ahead and trim up your extra. There we go. Then you're gonna go ahead and repeat this for the other 3 ends. Once you get done tying all 4 of the ends, you're ready to start using it and playing with it with your dog. Now that you guys have made a couple different types of treats and maybe even a toy, I want to see what all you guys have come up with at fair. Also, don't forget to take the evaluation, which is listed in the link below.